All right, so let's dig a little deeper into the Iran nuclear deal. We have Kareem Sajapur, who is a senior associate of the Carnegie Endowment, and also from Washington is Mark Dubowitz, executive director of the Foundation for Defense of Democracy. So, Mark, you first. Good to see both of you, gentlemen. Mark, you first. We've seen, a slow but steady stream of Democrats now joining Republicans. One, namely, big name, we're talking about Chuck Schumer, in opposition to the deal with Iran. Yet the president seems firmer than ever that he can get this deal done, or that it will be done. Do you believe it's going to be because of the president's efforts, or do you believe that those who are opposing it on Capitol Hill will be swayed by the president and agree on this deal?
Well, Frederica, I don't think too many people are actually swayed by the merits of the president's argument, but I think that there is a political reality, which is that it is pretty tough to get 67 senators who are willing to stand up to the president's veto. So this deal is going to move forward. There's very little that we can do or what Congress can do to stop it. But I think it's very important that there be a vote of non-confidence in this deal, because I think that would lay the predicate for the next president to negotiate a better deal and also to keep international companies out of Iran. And I think that's going to be absolutely essential, because once they go back in, it's going to be very difficult to get them back out.
And then, Kareem, what's the message in your view that's being sent by Democrats and Republicans making their way to or in Israel to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu? We heard from Michelle, who said it was a plan, that was in the making for a very long time. But, what's the message being sent by this happening?
Well, I think it's a conflicting time, Frederica, for many members of Congress. On the one hand, I think both Republicans and Democrats have always said that Israel's national security is sacrosanct. On the other hand, I agree with Mark that we're likely going to see the success we're going to see this deal with Iran pass Congress, and Iran is a country which rejects Israel's existence. So I think it's for the last many years, the kind of national security concerns of Israel have always trumped any dealings with Iran, and I think Obama, as a second-term president, has for the first time, I think, put his legacy on the line before kind of what's domestically expedient.
And then, Mark, what would be, I guess, the world public view if it were the U.S. that would be the only nation that was part of this pact that would not endorse the plan?
Frederica, it's worth remembering that the United States Congress, over the course of American history, has turned down 200 international agreements, both bilateral and multilateral agreements, where Congress has rejected the agreement and required a president to amend an agreement. This happened during the Cold War with some of the most important Cold War arms control agreements. Remember, at a time where the Soviet Union had thousands of nuclear tip missiles aimed at American cities. So there's ample precedent for Congress to require a president to amend a deal. And there's some fundamental ways in which this deal could be amended. For example, to eliminate the sunset clauses, which allow Iran, over time, to faithfully comply with the deal and emerge with an industrial-sized nuclear program with near-zero nuclear breakout, an ICBM program, and an economy immunized against U.S. and international economic pressure. So this has happened many times before. I think the United States would be in a position where it would have to rally the Europeans in particular and push forward with tough diplomacy and tough U.S. financial sanctions to get a better deal and amend a deal, particularly on the issue of these sunset clauses.
And Kareem, how would you see it if there was indeed the power to amendment, even if it were rejected?
Well, I think that it's important at some point that these rifts that have been created are reconciled, because this deal, as Mark mentioned, is going to have to sustain itself for the next 10 to 15 years. And I think it would be troubling if Republicans feel they actually have an incentive to sabotage things. So I think once the deal eventually does pass Congress, some have suggested an addendum to the deal which has bipartisan support and even presidential support to try to kind of shore up and strengthen some of the issues on the deal that people are most concerned about.
All right, we'll have to leave it right there. Kareem Sajapur and Mark Dubowitz, thank you so much, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.